Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be reviewing Yoshioka Kiyoe's debut album, Uta Iro. Before we get started, I want to remind you that this is simply my opinion on the album, and if you enjoy this review, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more. Yoshioka Kiyoe is the lead singer of the band Ikimonogatari, and since they've been on a hiatus for almost 2 years now, she is now starting her own solo career, and to get things started, this debut album, Uta Iro, is a cover album containing 11 songs. I always liked Ikimonogatari to an extent, and I was intrigued by this debut album because I always heard of Yoshioka as part of the band and never as a solo artist. Now, a cover album isn't really something that establishes a singer with their own style and everything, but it's a start. Cover albums in Japan can be quite tricky for me because they often contain covers of songs I am not familiar with, and still songs that are well known in Japan. So on one hand I feel a bit at loss of not being able to know the original material, but on the other hand these covers allow me to discover some very famous Japanese songs. And with Uta Iro, there are many songs to enjoy and discover, and I feel like if you are a fan of Ikimonogatari, you will enjoy many songs on this cover album because even as a solo artist, this album's sound and music style stays very close to the folk music that got Ikimonogatari well known in the first place. I personally had a lot of fun with this cover album. You can definitely tell that the production is really neat on all of them, and like for example a cover of Hatsukoi by Murashita Kozo. It's a really lovely song, and I think her voice here is really beautiful. She, always had a peculiar voice that you recognize right away, and on these covers she sounds really good, and the album carries a very nostalgic vibe that never feels too cheesy, which is a major point here. There are also 2 covers on this album that are from foreign artists, 500 Miles, with the original being by Peter, Paul and Mary, although here the song has been translated in Japanese. But it's still one of my favorite covers on this album. I just really love how soft the song is, and her voice here is really perfect for it. The second song is World in Union, and it's actually the anthem for the Rugby World Cup, for next year's Cup especially, and Yoshioka has been chosen as the official singer to sing it since the Cup is happening in Japan next year. And a little side note, which I thought was very funny because rugby is a huge sport in France, and actually a pretty important French newspaper that is well known where I live published an article about the song and promoted this album that just came out, and I thought it was pretty neat. And anyway, this song has been sung for many years by different artists depending on the country the cup is happening, and this is the first song entirely sung in English for Kiyoe, and she did really well on her pronunciation. I was really impressed by this song, and it's definitely the only one on this album that feels very modern, and considering the rest of the album is more based about songs from the 60s and 70s, this one feels like today's kind of song. And I think it was added on this album because, it's a huge sport event and it's really good for her. And honestly, outside of this song, like I said, this cover album feels more like it's paying homage to the 60s and 70s in Japanese folk pop music, but you got exceptions like the songs Hey Hey Boogie or the first song of the album called Shonen, but overall it's an album that feels like it really is in this musical era, and it does it really well. Overall, I really enjoyed this debut album from Yoshioka Kiyoe, and even if it's a cover album that doesn't really allow us to see her own music style and her own music, it is still a lovely debut with many enjoyable songs, and you can tell a lot of work has been put through these covers, and I really like her voice on so many of them, and she really puts her personality and charisma on these songs, and I think that's very important. And honestly, I had a really lovely time listening to it, and that's why I gave it 4 stars. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to tell me what you think of the album down below, and I'll see you next time.